Hello, thanks for joining me today. I'm Pat Speth, author of the Nickel Quilt books. I love scrappy quilts and I love to work with 5-inch squares of fabrics. The same techniques that I use when working with the 5-inch squares of fabrics can be used on any size square you want to start with. In my last video, I made the star blocks for my star and crown quilt, and that's the quilt that's on the wall behind me. These blocks finish 7 inches, and the technique that I use to make these blocks will work on any size of square. We can supersize these blocks using that same technique. For this block, I started with 6-inch squares of fabrics. For this size block, I started with 7-inch squares. For this block, I started with 8-inch squares of fabrics. Just to quickly show you what I'm talking about, this star block is made using 5-inch squares of fabrics. Those are turned into half-square triangles. Those half-square triangles are then sub-cut into 4 pieces that we get to play with. So when we start with 5-inch squares of fabrics, we trim the half-square triangles up to 4.5 inches, subcut them in half at 2.25 inches. One star point, and when I'm talking about the star point, it's this area right here, we'll measure unfinished 4 inches. That section will finish at 3.5 inches, and the block finishes at 7 inches. I will post a link below in the description area for the Star and Crown video that gives detailed step-by-step instructions for making these units and for making the star block. There may be times when you want to make star blocks that are larger than the 7 inches that I made my block. I found it takes almost as much time to make the 7-inch blocks as it does to make the larger blocks. The bigger blocks are also a nice place to show off larger scale prints that otherwise would be lost on smaller pieces. When I start with 6-inch squares of fabrics, this is the size of star block I'm able to make from the 6-inch squares of fabrics. The half-square triangles are trimmed up to 5.5 inches. They are cut in half in both directions at 2.75 inches. One star point will measure 5 inches. That's the unfinished size. The star point will finish at 4.5 inches. The block then finishes at 9 inches. When I start with 7-inch squares of fabric, this is the block size I am able to make. The half-square triangles are trimmed up to 6.5 inches. They're subcut in half both directions at 3.25. One star point unit will measure 6 inches unfinished. It will finish at 5.5 inches. The block's finished size is then 11 inches. And yes, going even larger, starting with 8-inch squares of fabrics, this is the size of block that we are able to make when we start with an 8-inch square of fabric. The half-square triangles are trimmed to 7.5 inches. They are subcut in half in each direction at 3.75 inches. The star point, unfinished, is going to be 7 inches. It's going to finish at 6.5. That gives us a finished size block of 13 inches. Star blocks are always a great choice for a quilt, so I hope you give this a try, making them in different sizes using the same technique. Ordering information for my books and patterns is coming up next, and until I post my next video, have fun making your quilts. The pattern for making the Star and Crown quilt in 4 different sizes, as well as my books and other patterns, can be ordered from my website. I've included a link to my website below in the video description area. Purchases from my website will help fund the creation and production of more nickel quilt videos for all to enjoy and learn from. Thank you.